fight's not over.
Stop the fight!
People.
Everybody, I come here for everybody. Kill everybody. I'm the champ. I'm the king. Kill everybody. Ah!
All right, guys, welcome back to Broke Bets. We are here for the UFC London card in the O2. Aspinall versus Tybura. Lane here. I got Carson on the other side. What's up, dude?
Yes, sir. Can't wait for this card, and it's during the day too. So, get a good night's rest after.
Correct. Yes, you're an early guy. Anyway, first, let's get in these bets. Anyway, we got 7 bets for you guys, but over 8 units here on the line. Started off, I'm taking Joshua Culibao. I just think Lerone Murphy's a little bit slower. Joshua Culibao's got really good defensive striking, pretty decent offensive striking, and this guy's just very underrated. And people will just be betting, Lerone Murphy probably more commonly just for body type. It's a similar thing with Jonny and Park we just talked about last week. And I think Culibao's just got a lot of weapons in this fight. He's got the better jiu-jitsu. I don't think he's going to get this fight to the ground with his wrestling, but there's chances it could still reach the ground. And yeah, just good fighter to get at dog money. And since then, he's come down to about an even number, so I like where I got him. Moving down, prop bet. We both got this one, but I think I got some extra juice on it. We got the Tom Aspinall under 1.5 at plus 140. I dropped 2 units on it. So Bet US, they released their lines, I swear, before almost every other book, it feels like. And the over-unders came out. Instantly saw this under 1.5. Had to drop a lot of money behind it. Just felt like this is pretty unbeatable number. And then it shifted to minus 175, I think, right now. So beat a ton of line movement. I could play both sides of this and guarantee money right now, but I'm just liking too much that number. I mean, to win 2.8 units off of a super likely outcome, which is just Tom Aspinall getting a finish in the first round and a half, which he's been doing in all of his UFC fights. So I don't see anything crazy that's going to happen here, but I mean, what do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see this happening. Like you said, all of his UFC wins are coming in that under 1.5 rounds, and even most of them before then too. So, I mean, if he blows out his knee, hopefully it's early in that first round again too. So,
yeah,
that as well.
if he blows out his knee, it happens quick. And Tybura, he's made his career on being a pretty tough guy, durable guy, having better cardio, but we have seen him been finished before, and on the verge of being finished. You referenced this, Carson, in the breakdown video, but Alexander Romanov almost finished him in their fight just from ground and pound. Maybe add some submission skills of Aspinall there, some speed. And, I think underrated people talk about Cyril Gane having tremendous movement for a heavyweight. I think Tom Aspinall's right next to him in comparison with footwork and speed. So, yeah. That under, hopefully it plays. If it doesn't, fuck my life, pretty much. Next bet you got here.
Yeah, Alvarez by finish. I missed out on his money line, and it's like minus 200 now, so I just did by finish. You gotta imagine the guy who's finished every one of his opponents. If he's gonna win, he's probably gonna finish this opponent as well. And his only loss or only decision was against Damir Ismagulov, which was a loss.
Yeah, and I see this one as a pretty good pick. I mean, Alvarez takes that Charles Oliveira approach, I believe, which is just forward pressure and forcing his opponent into his game, and that's going to be making Marc shoot on him, possibly, which would not be a smart decision. And then, of course, just if you watch the Thiago Moises fight, just forward pressure, elbows, knees. He's huge, cuts a lot of weight, and he does walk into some strikes. So there's a chance, he could get smacked from Marc, but I think overall that pressure will just force into a finish for Alvarez. So Yeah, I like that bet as well. I tailed you there. Moving down further, playing Davey Grant and Daniel Marcos to go over 2.5 rounds. I think this is going to be a high-level striking match. I saw great defensive striking from Daniel Marcos in his Contender Series fight and in his fight debut versus Simon Oliveira. However, I just think that Davey Grant's going to have a hard time landing those big punches which put people down. And Daniel Marcos will be able to leg kick and survive to this decision. Davey Grant, we already know, survives the decisions very well just from the, Adrian Yanez and some other big fights. So I don't...
Yeah, I mean, Davey Grant's never been KO'd. He's been submitted a few times, but don't see Marcos being able to submit him here.
And there might be some sweaty moments because they will go for it. But
Right.
at that weight class as well, you kind of expect that they'll be able to take more of the punches. Another good thing about Grant is when he's got such wide punches, people can see them coming. So you're not getting hit by shots you're not ready for, and those knockout shots. Next bet, Chris Duncan and Yanal Ashmouz to go under 2.5 rounds. Chris Duncan just leaves himself out there to be hit a lot, and he wants to hit hard. Yanal only has gone to decision once, and more of a grappling fight. Chris Duncan, last fight was terrible with the grappling and just trying to stall in positions later in the fight, but I think he's going to have a hard time stalling with Yanal, and I think these guys are just going to go at it. And when the crowd gets behind it as well, it'll add into the intensity, and they'll really go for it. So, both these guys were on the last London card. I think Yanal was when they got those knockouts, or when Yanal got his knockout. So, the crowd should remember Yanal's knockout as Sam Patterson as well. Maybe cheer him on a little bit. Down further, Filho and Barez, I'm taking their under 2.5. I just think that, both these guys are finishers. Barez has been exposed on the ground a couple of times, but he also is just threatening with the punches, the finishing ability. Filho also has a lot of finishes on his record, and I think these guys are just going to go to war. And like I said, these high-paced fights, you got to play the action, where I think the under's going to play. So we have a lot of finishing props this week. What do you think here?
Yeah, I definitely think, Filho has, Tapology says he's been to decision twice, but those are from like a super long time ago, so they're getting, his fights are finishing quick, and same with Barez. His last 4 fights are first round KOs, so I definitely like the under 2.5.
Right. Yeah, I think that one plays out. I think these guys are just going to go to war, and the submission game versus the striking game kind of will meet, and we'll see what will happen there. And then final bet, I'm taking the Bryan Barberena and Makmud Muradov fight to go not the distance. You could play the under 2.5 at -110, but I'm going to buy the extra 2.5 minutes because if you watch Bryan Barberena fights and he's still in this fight by then, his last 2.5 minutes of rounds are typically his best minutes. So I'm not going to take away that possible chance of Muradov getting really tired at the end of round 3 and Barberena pouring it on. So I think that 2.5 extra minutes for 20 points or whatever is worth it. But for the most part, dude, this weight class for Bryan Barberena to be in is a little bit ridiculous. And Muradov's just a big dude, hits hard. Bryan's pretty hittable as is. And I think that it's another fight where people are just going to go to war, and somebody will go down after some point. So I like this one to not play the distance, especially at the number. And yeah, any more thoughts you got?
Yeah, interested to see how Barberena can withstand the shots at middleweight. He's getting finished a few times at welterweight, but now moving up, it just seems weird to move up a weight class for him.
Yeah, and he has pretty good chin for the most part, but then he's also just, you're stepping it up quite a bit with that weight class. 15 more pounds, and especially for a guy who, isn't very lean. Not to criticize him, body shame him, but it works for him at welterweight. I just don't know if it'll work for him at middleweight. Also, there's a chance that Muradov might try to take this fight to the ground because he is so long and lanky. Maybe he'll find a submission. So, possibility.
I want to see what Barberena looks like on the scales too.
True. I'm kind of curious who the crowd will cheer for in this fight because I don't know if they're going to be going for Barberena or Muradov. Probably just for a war. But yeah, when they line up at ceremonial weigh-ins, I will be curious as well. What they'll look like out there. Other bets, man, I'm not sure. There's some hit or miss things on this card. I think there's some names. Like if you want to parlay Tom Aspinall, I think that's a decent option. We just didn't for the most part, just because we have that line movement beat already. Why put more behind it? I think Jai Herbert could serve as a good underdog just because he's the hometown fighter, and these guys are going to have a close fight. And if you want a dog price on that, you got it with Jai Herbert. And I don't see too many other things I like. Pannie Kianzad by decision, maybe. But yeah, anything else you're eyeing up?
Maybe Wood Feely to go the distance, but that was already juiced up enough. I didn't really want to play that.
I felt that way too, and I think those guys could, like I've been saying a lot, go to war and have a really big slugfest. So it makes me a little scared.
And then Molly McCann, maybe. I want to see what Stolarenko looks like on the skills, so I'm waiting for that.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not convinced that this fight's going to happen. Just with Stolarenko's past weight misses at 135, and now she's at 125. So I wanted to play that under as well, but then I didn't want to bet it and then just it to go away. So I watched the line, and now it's flipped to like minus 150. I'm just gonna stay away from it. But yeah, if you can get a good snag on Molly McCann, you can go for it. Other than that, I think that's all we got, guys. And there will be a video for UFC 291 coming out Saturday after the London fights. So just stay tuned, 6, 7 o'clock, and you'll get those.
Yeah, get those notifications turned on so you don't
ding,
miss
ding,
it.
Ding, ding, ding. Hit those bells.
Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, that'll be out. You guys can get your predictions early. So that's all we got. Peace.
Peace.
I know. It doesn't matter from the trenches. I'm built like this. Don't doubt me, I couldn't do it.